So good evening everyone. Today, uh, myself Ayan Paul. I'm a PMRF research scholar from IIT Kharagpur, and today we are here for week 8 discussion. The subject is farm machinery, and this course was taken by Professor VK Tiwari, Director IIT Kharagpur, and Professor Agriculture and Food Engineering, Department IIT Kharagpur. So today we are here for week 8 discussion. So So today we are here for a week 8 discussion, and by discussion I mean that first I will discuss about the summary of the lectures that has been covered in this week, and in the second half what I will do, I will discuss with you some of the questions that are very similar to assignment questions, so that when you will try your assignment question you will not feel alienated. So yeah, so today we will learn about plant production. So last week, what we have done, we have started about, we have discussed about intercultural operation. What are intercultural operation? Intercultural operation are removal of weeds. Okay. Now today we will learn about plant protection. This plant protection and intercultural operation is clubbed together as the third farm machinery operation. As in the first class only, I have told you there are four farm machinery operation. First is tillage or seed bed preparation. Second one is sowing. Third one is plant protection or plant protection and intercultural operation, and fourth is harvesting. So today we will learn about plant protection. We have already learned about intercultural operation in the previous week. Now today we will look about plant protection. So what is plant protection? Plant protection is application of chemicals for controlling diseases, insects and weeds in the crop. So weeds we have already discussed about weeding or intercultural operation last week. Now plant protection, it adds it is application of chemicals for controlling disease and insects and weeds in the crops. So basically what is plant protection? Plant protection, plant get competition from the weed, but plant also get affected from diseases. Just like we humans, plants are also affected by diseases. They are also affected by insects, pests, and of course they get competition from the weeds. So in plant protection what we are doing, we are applying chemicals for controlling these diseases, insects and weeds in the crop. So why we are doing this? This plant protection, these are able to save a crop from pest attack only when applied in time. Yeah, this is very important about these chemicals. So yeah, we are talking that we are applying chemicals for controlling disease, but one thing to note here is that we can save our plant only when we apply these chemicals applied these chemicals in a specific time. After that time, the plant cannot be protected even if we apply this chemicals. Second is need to applied on plants and soil in the form of spray, dust and mist, that we will see in the next section. And third is the chemicals are costly, therefore equipment for non-uniform and effective application is essential. So all these chemicals that we will study, these are very costly. So one thing we have to ensure that we have to make equipments that are uniform and effective that are we have to make equipment for uniform and effective application. Okay, so generally there are two plant protection equipment that are very common. One is duster and another one is sprayer. Okay, duster and sprayer. So what is duster, what is sprayer? Duster is the equipment used for applying chemicals in the form of powder form. So whenever we are applying chemicals in powder form, this is very important, when we are applying chemicals in powder form, so that equipment is known as duster. This here is duster. So in this duster, what we are doing is we are storing this chemical in a powder form. So that is duster. So some of the feature of duster are small particles. The particles of the powder is between median diameter 1 to 10 micrometer. This is micrometer. Micrometer is 10 raised to the power minus 6 meter. Maybe advantages where complete coverage with dense foliage is important. Okay. Second is application rate usually ranges from 22 to 55 kg per hectare. So in a hectare, the powder that we have to apply, that is 22 to 55 kg. Third one, most important one, this third point is duster application must restrict to a period of low wind velocity, not more than 3 meter per second, and moderate air temperature. This is the most important point. We cannot use duster whenever the wind velocity exceeds 3 meter per second. We cannot use duster because the powder will fly in the air and it will be drifted off target. Okay, that is known as drift. What is drift? Drift is diversion of chemicals from the actual target, that is drift. So if the wind velocity is more than 3 meter per second, there is more drift. Okay, so in that cases we cannot use duster. That is why we have to use duster only in application with wind velocity less than 3 meter per second. And fourth is equipment could be manually operated or power operated. Like it can be manually operated by hand, or we can install some battery or other equipment so that it is automatically operated. So this is all about duster. Now second thing, sprayer. Sprayer is more important than duster. Why sprayer is more important than duster? Because I have told you that this duster cannot be used in more wind velocity. So we have come with sprayer. What is a sprayer? Sprayer is an equipment used for applying chemicals in the form of liquid droplets. Okay, so here in duster we are applying chemicals in the form of powder form. Here we are applying chemicals in the form of liquids. Okay, the droplets are liquids. So some of the features of this sprayer is the spray chemicals is known as herbicide. Herbicide if we are talking about weeds. So the chemical used for plant protection against weed, that is known as herbicides. Okay, so herbicides in order to reduce competition from the weeds. Second is fungicide. The name fungicide, we have to protect our plant from fungi. So protective fungicides to minimize effect of fungal diseases. Third is insecticide. If we are talking about insects, then it is insecticides. Insecticides to control various kind of insects and pests. Okay, insects and pests together we call it insecticide. And fourth point, micronutrient such as manganese or boron. So beside protecting against this disease, insects or weeds, we are also using this sprayer to apply nutrients to the plants. Okay, nutrients or micronutrients in the form of manganese or boron. So these are some of the feature of spray. Okay, feature of spray liquid. Okay, now another important thing is what is the function of sprayer. Okay, the function of sprayer is to break the liquid in droplets of effective size and distribute them uniformly over the surface or space to be protected. So that is the main function of the sprayer. Means we have liquid in this container, but we have to break it into smaller droplet. Why we want to break it into smaller droplet? Because if we break the liquid in smaller droplet, its surface area increases. Okay, means if this is the ball, okay, if this ball this ball is a liquid droplet and we are applying in plant, so this is the surface area. Okay, this is the surface area, this is the surface area. But if we divide this ball into two part, okay, so it will have some part on some part, so its surface area basically will increase. Okay, now this is the surface area and this is the surface area, so surface area basically increases. So that is the main function of sprayer, is to break this liquid into smaller droplet, so that it is uniformly distributed all over the surface of the plant and its surface area of the liquid droplet increases. So that is the main function of the sprayer. Another function is to regulate amount of insecticides to avoid excessive application and that might prove harmful or wasteful. So if the whole liquid we will apply in one plant or group of plant, what will happen is it will lead to excessive application, and overdose may not be required for the plant, or overdose may be harmful to the plants. So to avoid this, we are using sprayer. So this is the second function of the sprayer. So is this slide clear to all of you? What is plant protection and what are the two important equipments for plant protection? Okay, nice. So one is sprayer and second one is duster. Sprayer, we are using sprayer to apply this chemicals in liquid droplet, and we are using duster to apply this chemical in the form of powder form. Okay, in the form of powder. So this is the basic difference between sprayer and duster. Sprayer is more preferred than duster because the limitation of duster is we cannot use it in with wind velocity more than 3 meters per second. So that is the limitation of the duster. So now move on to the next slide, that is classification of sprayer. So we will not sorry, we will not discuss about duster. We will be mainly focusing on sprayer, because sprayer is more important than duster. So that is why we will focus our discussion in sprayers. So classification of sprayer. So we classify sprayer into three forms. One, according to source of energy. When we are talking about source of energy, there are three type of sprayer. One is hydraulic energy sprayer, second is gaseous energy sprayer, and third is centrifugal energy sprayer. So hydraulic energy sprayer means the energy that is required to break this whole liquid into smaller droplet, that is provided hydraulically. Okay, hydraulically with some other liquid. Okay, so that is hydraulic energy sprayer. And second is gaseous energy sprayer. Similarly, like hydraulic energy sprayer, in gaseous energy sprayer we are giving this energy to break the liquid by the means of a gas. Okay, and third is centrifugal energy sprayer. In centrifugal energy sprayer we are applying this energy in the form of centrifugal force. Means we have a mechanical component that will rotate, and due to this rotation the centrifugal force will help the liquid to break. So that is centrifugal energy sprayer. So examples of hydraulic energy sprayer are lever operated knapsack sprayer, second is rocker sprayer, foot sprayer, hand compression sprayer, and tractor operated boom sprayer. So basically this is the most common type of energy sprayer. Okay, this is the most common type. Second is gaseous energy sprayer. Gaseous energy sprayer example is air carrier sprayer, mist blower. So we will talk about mist blower in the later section. And third is centrifugal energy sprayer. Centrifugal energy sprayer example is spinning disc sprayer. Okay, so these are the three type of sprayer on the basis of source of energy. Second is according to application rate. What is application rate? Application rate is volume of liquid divided by area. Okay, volume of liquid applied, this is volume of liquid, and this is area. Okay, so volume of liquid applied per area, that is application rate, and its unit is hectare. Sorry, this unit is, sorry, its unit is liter per hectare. Liter is a unit of volume, and unit of area is hectare. So its unit is liter per hectare. So that is known as application rate. So according to application rate also, we have divided sprayer into three categories. One is high volume sprayer. When we will tell sprayer as high volume, when its application rate is more than 400 liter per hectare. In that case, we will say the sprayer is high volume sprayer. Second is low volume sprayer. Low volume sprayer when the application rate is between 5 to 400 liter per hectare. We will call it low volume sprayer. And third is ultra low volume sprayer. Ultra low volume sprayer means application rate is less than 5 liter per hectare. So the threshold is 400 and 5. Okay, these are the two threshold. If application rate is more than 400, we will call it, if it is more than 400, we will call it high volume sprayer. If it is between 400 to 5, we will call it low volume sprayer. And if it is less than 5 liter per hectare, we will call it ultra low volume sprayer. So these are the three categories of sprayer according to application rate. And third is according to source of power. So source of power, I have already told you again and again. Basically in farm machinery, we have three sources of power. One is human power, second is animal power, and third is mechanical power or electrical power. So similarly, sprayer also, we have categorized sprayer as manually operated sprayer. That means the power given here is by the means of human, okay, by the means of human power. So there are some example of manually operated sprayer: lever operated knapsack sprayer, stirrup pump sprayer, rocker sprayer, and foot operated sprayer. So these are the four examples of manually operated sprayer. Second is bullock operated sprayer. This is animal operated sprayer, okay, animal power operated sprayer, that is bullock sprayer. So bullock sprayer example is bullock operated boom sprayer. Third is tractor power tiller, tractor or power tiller operated sprayer. So examples are boom sprayer, mist sprayer, or air assisted sprayer. And fourth one is electric power operated sprayer. So electric power operated sprayer is motorized knapsack sprayer, electrodynamic sprayer, and electrostatic sprayer. And last one is also a type of sprayer that is powered by airplane or drone. Okay, so that is known as airplane and drone operated sprayer. So according to source of power, we have divided sprayer into five categories: manually operated sprayer, bullock operated sprayer, tractor or power tiller operated sprayer, electric power operated sprayer, and last one is airplane and drone operated sprayer. So these are various sprayer classification. Now we will see major component of sprayer. So this type of sprayer is known as knapsack sprayer. Okay, this is a very common type of sprayer you must have seen in the back of farmers. Okay, basically small farmers use this at their back. They carry this container, they carry this sprayer and spray the liquids for plant protection of their crops. So this type of sprayer is known as knapsack sprayer. So what are the component of this sprayer? So basically any kind of sprayer, the first component in any kind of sprayer is chemical tank. This is the tank where the liquid is stored. Okay, so this is the first component. Second one is nozzle. Nozzle is the last component of the sprayer, from which the spray liquid will come out and be applied on the plant. So that is nozzle. Okay. Third one is filter. Why we required filter? Because in this chemical tank, there could be some stone or some particles that can be harmful to the nozzle. If we do not use filter, if the unfiltered liquid come out of the nozzle, it may damage the nozzle. So that is why we use filter. Okay, this is the filter. Fourth is valve. What is valve? Valve is a opening. Okay, valve is a opening provided. Basically valve is provided in the intersection of this chemical tank and the nozzle pipe, or we call it spray lens. So in between this we use a valve. Why we use a valve? For opening this for passes of this liquid from the chemical tank to this pipe. So that is the use of valve. Fourth is pressure regulator. Pressure regulator is also important because we want our application at a certain pressure. So in that application only the spraying is useful. So that is why pressure regulator is there. Then is hose pipe. So this is the hose pipe. Okay, from the chemical will be first stored in the chemical tank, then through the valve it will come to the hose pipe. Okay, then handle. Handle, why we required handle? To hold this sprayer. Okay, so handle is provided at the back side of your chemical tank. So in order to hold or carry the sprayer by hand, we use this handle. Okay, fourth is second last is spray gun. Okay, spray gun, we either use spray lance or spray gun. In between these two we either use one. So most of the sprayer we have spray lance. What is spray lance? Spray lance is the extension of this hose pipe. The extension of this hose pipe, so that we can let the sprayer reach at different points of the plant. So for that we use this spray lance. Okay, so this is the application of the spray lance, because we want our sprayer to reach at various remote location of the plant. So for that we use this spray lance. And in place of spray lance, there are in some of the sprayer we have this provision of spray gun. Spray gun means like a holy gun. You must have used these guns in during playing Holi festival. So similarly, spray gun, if we pull the trigger, the spray liquid will come out. So spray gun. So either we use spray lance or we use spray gun. Most of the cases we use spray lance, because we want precisely to reach at few position of the plants. That is why we use the spray lance. This is the spray lance, the extension of the hose pipe, that is known as spray lance. So these are the major components of spray. Similarly, if we see a tractor operated sprayer, the components are basically same. Like I told you, any sprayer you use, we need a chemical tank to store the liquid. Then this is a big sprayer, so we required pump to generate the pressure. Okay, then nozzle same, to let the spray droplets come out of the sprayer and to be sprayed on the plant. So that is nozzle. Then filter same purpose. If spray liquid has some components that might harm the nozzle, so for that we use this filter. Then valves are there. Valves, opening and closing of the valve to facilitate the inflow or outflow of the liquid from the chemical tank to the hose. Okay, then pressure regulator, same thing, because to regulate the pressure, so that the spray liquid sprayed at a definite pressure. Then spray boom. Boom, what is boom? In case of knapsack sprayer, we have only one nozzle. But what happens is, when we are talking about this tractor operated sprayer, we required many nozzle. So this many nozzle are mounted on a arm called boom. Okay, these are your nozzle, this are your nozzle, this is your nozzle, and this is your nozzle. Like we required 4 nozzle. So this 4 noses to be operated at a single time, we required a arm pipe. So this pipe is known as boom. So that is boom. Okay, a arm pipe that has many nozzle on it, that is known as boom. And last is agitator. Agitator, what happens is, in this big kind of in this big sprayer, what happens is, sometime the spray liquid settle down at the bottom. So so what happens is, segmentation of the chemicals start. So to avoid this, we have agitator, so that agitator can shake this liquid again and again to maintain the efficiency of this tank. So this is the function of agitator. So is this slide clear to you all? Any doubt in this slide? Okay, nice. So let me move to the next slide. So chemical tank. So how we will measure, how we will decide the capacity of the chemical tank. So this is the formula to decide the capacity of the chemical tank. So formula is 2 into W into L into AR into 10 raised to power minus 7. This is basically used for unit conversion. So no need to see this. You only see this 2 into W into L into AR. So now the question is, how this formula come? So I have already told that for a particular plant, or for a particular sprayer, we have this application rate. Okay, application rate is fixed in liter per hectare. So application rate is fixed for a particular crop. Okay, this is fixed. Now the unit of application rate is liter per hectare. Okay, now capacity of tank, whenever we are talking about capacity of tank, so we are basically talking about the volume of the chemical tank. So we have this application rate liter per hectare. So if we can cancel this hectare, we can get the capacity of tank. Now how to cancel this hectare? So you already know, I have told you field capacity. Field capacity, what is field capacity? Field capacity is S into W divided by 10. This is field capacity. S is the speed in kilometer per hour, W is in meter, and we get field capacity in hectare per hour. But in this field capacity, if we will use this speed into width, so that will give the solution in liter per hectare into hectare per hour. Okay, liter per hectare into hectare per hour. So that will give capacity in liter per hour, but we required our capacity only in liter or only in unit of volume. So what we will do in field capacity, what we will do, we will only take in place of speed. Okay, in place of speed, we will take length of the plot into width of the coverage, L into W, not S into W. We will use L into W. And what is the unit of L into W? That will be hectare. Okay, so L into W is hectare, and if we cancel this hectare with this hectare, we will get unit in liter or unit in meter cube. If we will get unit in meter cube if we do this unit conversion. So by this we will get capacity of the tank. Now the question is here, why we are using 2? Because what happens is, in a boom sprayer, what happens is if this is your boom sprayer, okay, this is your boom sprayer BS, then your nozzle will be mounted on both the side. Okay, so we want application on both the sides, or both 2 row of plant. Here there is a 1 row, and here there is another row. So we want application in both the side. So for that we are multiplying twice to it. So that is why capacity of the tank will be twice into W into L. W is the width of coverage, L is the length of the plot, into AR. AR is the application rate. Application rate will be in liter per hectare, and W into L will be in hectare. So hectare will cancel out. So we will get our capacity of tank in the units of liter. And if we convert this liter into meter cube, we will get capacity of tank in meter cube. So this 10 raised to the minus 7 is given for unit conversion. So this is how we get the capacity of the tank. Now pump. Now this is about second component, or the pump. Okay, so pump. So for sprayer we have two types of pump. One is a positive displacement pump, and second one is centrifugal pump. So what is positive displacement pump and what is centrifugal pump? Positive displacement pump means the flow rate Q is independent of pressure. Q is independent of pressure. This is independent of pressure, okay, of P. So that is positive displacement pump. So in positive displacement pump, what will happen is either your pump will be piston pump, rotary pump, or diaphragm pump. So what will happen is, for each stroke of the pump you will get a definite quantity of the flow rate. Okay, you will get definite quantity of flow rate for each stroke of pump. So that is why we call it positive displacement pump. Means the Q remains constant always. The Q will remain constant always, and it is independent of pressure. This Q will be constant, and it will depends on number of stroke. Okay, number of stroke. So that is why it is known as positive displacement pump. Okay, the Q is independent of P. P is the pressure. Okay, P is the pressure. So flow rate will be independent of the pressure, and this is constant for a fixed number of stroke. So that is positive displacement pump. There is another kind of pump known as this centrifugal pump. What is the property of centrifugal pump? Centrifugal pump, in case of centrifugal pump, this Q is inversely proportional to 1 by P. P is the pressure. Okay, so this Q is inversely proportional to 1 by P. That is the characteristics of centrifugal pump. So again I am repeating, for positive displacement pump, the Q or the flow rate is independent of pressure. But in case of centrifugal pump, Q or flow rate is inversely proportional to pressure, or Q is directly proportional to 1 by P. So this is the characteristics of centrifugal pump. In case of centrifugal pump, it is the Q is not constant, and it does not depend on number of stroke. Okay, so this is the thing about positive displacement pump and centrifugal pump. Now another characteristics, if we required more pressure of flow from your sprayer, so in that case, if we required more pressure, then we basically use this positive positive displacement pump. But if we required more flow at less pressure, then we required this centrifugal pump. So again I am repeating, we have two components, one is flow and second one is pressure. So if we required more pressure, but the flow rate, we are not concerned about flow rate, we want more pressure, so we use this positive displacement pump. So characteristics of positive displacement pump is, pressure is high but Q is low. So this is the characteristics of positive displacement pump. But in case of centrifugal pump, the pressure is low, the P pressure is low, but flow rate is more. So this is the characteristics of centrifugal pump. Now positive displacement pump, there are three type of positive displacement pump. One is piston or plunger pump. This is the most common, and here you can see operating pressure ranges from 4.1 to 5.5 megapascal. Megapascal is 10 raised to the power minus 6 pascal. And second is flow rate. Flow rate is between 75 to 225 liter per minute. Second is rotary pump. Rotary pump maximum pressure 1 to 3 megapascal, and flow rate 19 to 140 liter per minute. And third is diaphragm pump. Its maximum pressure is 3.4 megapascal and its flow rate is between 19 to 23 liter per minute. But in case of centrifugal pump, what you will see? You will see the opposite of it. Means you will see more flow rate. You will see this more flow rate but less pressure. Like here you can see the centrifugal pump has a flow rate here 265 to 495 liter per minute. But operating pressure is less. Like here the operating pressure is 206 to 275 kilopascal. That means if we convert this to megapascal, that will become 0.206 to 0.275 megapascal. Means operating pressure is very less. Like here I am mentioning operating pressure is very less, but its flow rate will be more. So these are the two characteristics. These are the characteristics of two type of pumps. One is positive displacement pump and second is centrifugal pump. Okay. Now there is a formula for power requirement of pump. So power requirement, what is power? Power is work done divided by time. This is the formula of power. Now work done, how we calculate work done? Work done is force into displacement divided by time. Okay, this is the formula of power. But now in case of pump, we have seen we measure our quantity in two forms. First in flow rate and second in the form of pressure. So how to convert this formula in case of flow rate and pressure? What we will do? We will divide this F by A. So when we are dividing a quantity with area, we have to multiply a quantity with area also. Okay, that by this only your formula will remain same. So what we are doing, we are dividing force by area and we are multiplying this displacement by area divided by time t. Now what is this force by area? Force by area is pressure and S into A. S is length and A is area. So length into area is volume. Okay, divided by T. Now what is this flow rate? Flow rate is volume divided by T. So your power will be equal to P into Q. Okay, your power will be equal to, this capital P is for power and small p is for pressure. So your power will be equal to pressure into your flow rate. So again I am repeating how we reach to this formula. What is power? Power is work done divided by time. Now what is work done? Work done is force into displacement. Okay. Now in case of pump, we have seen we require our quantities in the form of flow rate and pressure. So we have to convert this force and displacement in pressure and flow rate. So how we will convert this? We will divide our force by area and we will multiply our displacement into area. Okay. So force by area is what? Force by area is pressure and S into A. S into A is your volume. So by that our power will be pressure into flow rate. V by T is volume divided by time is flow rate. So our power will be pressure into flow rate. So that is how we reach this formula. Now you will be asking question, why this 60,000 and what is this eta m? So 60,000 is taken basically for unit conversion. Basically when we will do this, our power will come in watt. But if you want this Q is in liter per hour, so in that case what you do is you can directly put Q in liter per hour and you will divide it by 60,000. So that is the thing. If your Q is in liter per minute, so you can, for unit conversion, you can divide by 60,000. Now what is this mechanical efficiency? So what will happen is every component has a efficiency. Okay, what is efficiency? Efficiency is output divided by input. Okay, this is efficiency. So every component that you use in mechanical, electrical or anything, every component has some efficiency. So our our pump will also have some efficiency. So that efficiency we call it mechanical efficiency. So what is mechanical efficiency? Mechanical efficiency is the output of pump divided by input of pump. Okay. Now power that we have studied here is basically this P into Q is your this P into Q is your output. Okay, this P into Q that we have studied, this power is your output, but we require what is the input power. So to get the input power IPM, we have to what we have to do, we have to divide this output power OPM divided by efficiency. Okay, so by that is why we have this efficiency in the denominator, mechanical efficiency in the denominator. So input power will be equal to your flow rate of the pump into P is the pressure of the pump divided by the mechanical efficiency of the pump. So that is all about power requirement of the pump. So is this clear? Any doubt in this slide? You may please ask. No doubt in this slide, right? Okay, nice. So let me move to the next slide, that is nozzle or atomizer. So I have already told you regarding the function of nozzle. So the process when the nozzle breaks the liquid into smaller droplet, that process is also known as atomization. Okay, atomization, and the component nozzle is also known as atomizer. So again I am repeating, the process of breaking the liquid into smaller droplet in order to increase the surface area of the liquid is known as atomization. So the process of, again I am repeating, process of breaking the liquid into smaller droplet in order to increase the surface area of the liquid, that process is known as atomization. Why we are doing this? We are breaking this liquid into smaller droplet for effective coverage of the plant and the soil surface. So if we will not break this liquid into smaller droplet, only what will happen is some portion of the plant will get all the fluids and the other portion will not get the fluid. So that is the function of atomization. We break it into small, tiny, very tiny droplets so that it is uniformly spread to all the parts of the plants. So that is known as atomization. So atomization, energy is imparted to the liquid to break it into smaller droplet by overcoming surface tension, viscosity and inertia. What is surface tension? Surface tension is the force of attraction in between molecules at the surface of the liquid. Okay, that is surface tension. What is viscosity? Viscosity is resistance to flow of the liquid. And third is inertia. Inertia means inertia is a phenomenon by which a particle will be at its state unless or until it is compelled by any external force. So that is inertia. So in order to break that liquid, we require energy to overcome these three things: surface tension, viscosity and inertia. So this is about theory. Now according to now we will see types of atomizer. Atomizer are nothing but nozzles. So type of nozzles. So there are four type of nozzles. One is flat fan nozzle. You can see here in the diagram, this type of nozzle is known as flat fan nozzle. Second is flooding flat fan nozzles. So this is the diagram of flooding flat fan nozzle. Here you can see the trajectory of the liquid droplets, and here you can see the trajectory of the liquid droplet. Here it is like flooding fan, that is why we call it flooding fan nozzle. Third is hollow cone nozzle. You can see there is a hollow cone. Okay, when the atomizer or when the nozzle is spraying the liquid, it is forming a hollow cone. That is why hollow cone nozzle. And fourth is solid cone nozzle. Here you can see the cone is fully solid. So that is solid cone nozzle. So there are some of the features of this nozzle. Flat fan nozzle, they are used for most solid application of herbicide and for certain pesticide when it is not necessary to penetrate into the foliage. Means foliage means the green portion of the plant is known as foliage. Okay, so if it is not required for the flow for the liquid to reach at all the parts of the plant, only we require the spray on the surface of the plants. In that case we use this flat fan nozzle. And other thing, the spray angle, this is the spray angle or the apex angle. Okay, like this is your spray. Okay, and this angle is known as the spray angle alpha. Okay, this is your spray angle. So spray angle in case of flat fan nozzle is 65 degree to 110 degree with 80 degree most common. Okay, then operating pressure for this type of nozzle is 100 to 200 kilopascal. Now second is flooding flat fan nozzle. Flooding flat fan nozzle, where we are using it, they are most suited for broadcast application where uniform surface application is critical. Means we required the spray to be uniformly distributed at all the portion. So in that cases we required this flooding flat fan nozzle. Its surface area is basically more, so all the portion of the plant foliage is covered at once. That is why it is known as flooding flat fan nozzle. So here the spray angle is between 100 to 150 degree and operating pressure is 55 to 170 kilopascal. Third is hollow cone nozzle. They are used for spraying insecticide fungicide on field crop when foliage penetration and complete coverage of leaf is desired. Means we required both. We required foliage penetration also, means the opposite of this. Okay, here the foliage penetration is not necessary, but here when we require this foliage penetration we go for hollow cone nozzle. And second, it has complete coverage of leaves, so that is a hollow cone nozzle. Here the spray angle is between 60 to 95 degree and the operating pressure is between 275 to 550 kilopascal. And fourth and last is solid cone nozzle. Solid cone nozzle operating pressure is between 35 to 138 kilopascal and spray angle is up to 130 degree. So these are the four different type of nozzles. So is this clear? Is this slide clear to all of you? What is atomizer? Okay, nice. Now let's move to the next slide. What is the need of manually operated knapsack cum boom sprayer? So I have already told you what is a boom sprayer, right? Boom sprayer means if we require to operate many nozzle at once, so we use this boom sprayer. So boom sprayer basically has more than one nozzle attached to its boom. So that is boom sprayer. Now knapsack sprayer. What is knapsack sprayer? Knapsack sprayer is the sprayer that is carried by farmers on their back. So we require the combination of this knapsack sprayer and this boom sprayer. Okay, why we require this combination? Because this lever operated knapsack sprayer has no pressure regulation. So what happens is this knapsack sprayer is a cheap kind of sprayer. So in this cheap kind of sprayer there is no provision of of pressure regulation. Means the spray will be at a definite pressure only. If you want to regulate the pressure, that provision is not provided in a knapsack sprayer. So this is a limitation of a knapsack sprayer. What is the second limitation? Second limitation is maximum discomfort to the farmer carrying it. Okay, so when the farmer is carrying it, he experience pain in its left clavicle region. Clavicle regions is basically shoulder. Okay, shoulder region. So he experienced pain in his shoulder region, then followed by lower back, neck, thigh and right clavicle of the operator. So operator felt pain in all this position of its body, on his shoulder, on his lower back, neck and thigh. So that is very discomforting to the farmer. So this is the second limitation of knapsack sprayer. Third is boom height. So what happens is there is no, first there is no provision of boom in this knapsack sprayer, and second is the nozzle height the operator has to adjust again and again. So it is unnecessary, you can say unnecessary work, and it might lead to early fatigue of the farmer. So in this boom operated knapsack sprayer, we are giving a boom to this farmer, so that so that many nozzles are attached to the boom, so application will be fast. Second, there is a provision of boom height adjustment. So once the farmer adjusts the boom height, so he may not be required to adjust the boom height again and again. So this is the third disadvantage of knapsack sprayer. So this is a diagram of knapsack cum boom sprayer. So you can see this is a knapsack sprayer and we are giving boom to it. Okay, this is the boom. You can see in the boom there are many nozzles. Here one nozzle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 nozzles in this boom. Second, there is provision of adjusting height of the boom. So the farmers need not to adjust the height again and again. Third, there is a handle and wheel, so the farmer can basically push this sprayer and no need to carry it on its back. So this is the advantage of knapsack cum boom sprayer. Now design consideration of it, agronomical condition. You can see crops of medium height. Yeah, this is applicable for crops of medium height, 10 to 80 centimeter. Then it should be easy to pull, simple in design, durable, easy in operation, and low cost. Okay, all this provision are provided in this knapsack cum boom sprayer. Second is physical and economic consideration. So manufacture cost must be low, material must be good, and maintenance should be low. And third is functional requirement. The developed pressure should be in the range of 1.5 kg per centimeter square to 2.5 kg per centimeter square. You can easily convert this into kilopascal. That is, by multiplying it by 9.8, and centimeter is 10 raised to the power minus 4 meter square. So you can convert this pressure from kg per centimeter square to Pascal. Okay, Pascal or kilopascal, whatever you require. Third is maximum 8 nozzles should be operated at a time. That means maximum nozzle should be 8 in a boom. Why we do not require more than 8 nozzles? Because if we give more than 8 nozzles, this boom will be very lengthy, and if the boom is very lengthy, then the maneuverability of this sprayer is difficult. Second, the weight of this sprayer will increase. That is why maximum 8 nozzles should be operated at a time. Okay, so is this slide clear? Why we are moving from knapsack sprayer to knapsack cum boom sprayer? So is this slide clear to all of you? Okay, so I hope this slide is clear to all of you. Now let me move to the next thing, that is performance evaluation of sprayer. So we are evaluating performance of sprayer by droplet size. Second is number of droplet, and third is uniformity of deposition of the droplets on the leaves or on the plants. So droplet size is affected by surface tension and viscosity. Second is number of droplet. Number of droplet is affected by affected upon pressure, flow rate, and spray angle. Basically, for flooding nozzle have more number of droplet, then fan type of nozzle, then hollow cone nozzle. And third is uniformity of deposition. Uniformity of deposition depend on pressure, flow rate, and spray angle. So again I am repeating performance parameter. There are 3 performance parameter of a sprayer. One is droplet size, second is number of droplet, and third is uniformity of deposition. So droplet size depend on 2 factors, surface tension and viscosity. Number of droplets depend on 3 parameter, pressure, flow rate, and spray angle, and also the type of sprayer. Flooding nozzle have more number of droplet, then fan type of nozzle, then hollow cone nozzle. and third is uniformity of deposition. Uniformity of deposition depends on pressure, flow rate and spray angle. So basically pressure, flow rate and spray angle means we are talking about type of sprayer, because whenever we are talking type of nozzle, whenever we are talking about type of nozzle, all these parameters are covered: pressure, flow rate and spray angle. Okay. So factor affecting droplet size. So these two are the main factors: surface tension and viscosity. Apart from this, type of nozzle, operating pressure and spray angle means type of nozzle and this surface tension and viscosity. These are factors affecting droplet size. Now we express the droplet size in terms of droplet diameter. Okay, size means if we are talking about size of a spherical object, so basically we are talking about diameter of the spherical object. So that is why droplet size means diameter of the spray droplet. Okay, so droplet diameter could be expressed in two means: one is mean diameter and second is median diameter. So what is this mean diameter and what is this median diameter? Mean diameter, this is the formula of the mean diameter: dpq p minus q to the power, and this is the formula. Okay, you can check the formula also in your lecture note. So this di is the droplet diameter. Okay, ni is the number of droplets, and d p and q, p and q, P and Q value are 1, 2, 3 and 4, such that P is greater than Q. Okay, and N is the total number of size class. So N you need to see. DPQ is the main thing, and P and Q are simple numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4, and Ni is the number of droplets. So if we require arithmetic mean, so our P will be 1 and Q will be 0. So when you will put d to the power 1 minus 0 means d will be equal to ni dip divided by ni diq. Q will be 0. So Q will be eliminated. So here it will be equal to ni dip divided by ni. So that is nothing but mean. So what is mean? Mean is n into diameter divided by n. Okay, so this is probably mean. Okay, mean diameter. So d equal to n into small n, or you can say here ni into d divided by n. So that is arithmetic mean. Now there are other type of mean: surface mean, volume mean and Sauter mean. The value for p and q for all this mean: for surface mean p will be 2, q will be 0. Volume mean p will be 3, q will be 0, and Sauter mean p will be 3, q will be 2. So whenever you will be putting this p and q in here, you will get the different types of mean diameter. So that is about mean diameter. Second thing is about median diameter. So according to median diameter, there are three types of median diameter. Okay, let me erase this. Yeah, there are three types of median diameter. Like mean diameter, there are 4 types of mean diameter. Similarly, there are three types of median diameter. One is volume median diameter, second is mass median diameter, and third is numerical median diameter. So what is volume median diameter? Volume median diameter is when we divide the droplet spectrum. What happens is when we are dividing the droplet spectrum, so the droplet spectrum will have different size, like this, and etc. Okay, this. So from ascending from smallest diameter droplet to large diameter droplet. So this is known as spectrum of the droplets. Okay, this is spectrum of the droplets. So what happens is volume median diameter. Volume median diameter means diameter of the droplet that divide this spectrums into two halves, such that volume of droplet smaller than volume median diameter is equal to volume of droplet greater than median diameter, like here. So what happens is, let's say let's say this droplet divide the spectrum into two parts. Okay, this is the droplet that divides this spectrum into two parts, such that volume volume behind this droplet and volume ahead of this droplet is same. Okay, so this diameter is known as volume median diameter. So again I am repeating, what happens in a spray is we divide the liquid spectrum into different tiny droplets. So the droplet can have different sizes. Okay, so if we arrange this droplet in a spectrum from smallest diameter droplet to largest diameter droplet, and there will be a droplet that divide the spectrum into two parts, such that volume of droplet before this volume median diameter and volume of droplet after this volume median diameter is same. That diameter is known as volume median diameter or VMD. Second is mass median diameter. Just like VMD, there is MMD. Same. What is mass? What is density? Density is rho m by mass by volume. So if we know volume, if we want to know volume is mass. Sorry, if you want to know mass, this mass is volume divided by density. So that is why for a given liquid the density will be same. So mass median diameter will be equal to volume median diameter. Okay, that is why mass median diameter equal to volume median diameter. Third is numerical median diameter. Numerical median diameter means it divides the droplet into two portions such that total volume of droplet smaller than NMD is equal to total volume of droplet larger than NMD. Means it is the middle droplet. Okay, middle droplet, such that number of droplet before NMD will be equal to number of droplet after NMD. So that is numerical median diameter. So this, let's say this is NMD. Okay, this is NMD and this is VMD. So your VMD will be always greater than NMD. Why VMD is greater than NMD? Because here we are in case of VMD we are talking about volume. So the smallest droplet, the number of smallest droplet will be more than same number for numerical median diameter. So that is why VMD will be always greater than NMD. Okay, so is this clear? Median diameter, any doubt in median diameter? Any doubt? Okay, I think clear. Okay, nice. So let me move to the volume median diameter. Now volume median diameter can be expressed in terms of pressure, in terms of diameter of orifice, and in case of surface tension. So in case of pressure, VMD is inversely proportional to pressure to the power 1/3. Okay, this is the case of VMD with respect to pressure. So VMD is inversely proportional to pressure to the power 1/3. Now this VMD is directly proportional to diameter of orifice to the power 2/3. Okay, now VMD is directly proportional to surface tension of the liquid to the power 1/2. So VMD is basically depend on three things. One is pressure, one is diameter of orifice, and third one is surface tension. So VMD is inversely proportional to pressure to the power 1/3. VMD is directly proportional to diameter of orifice to the power 2/3, and VMD is directly proportional to surface tension of the liquid to the power half. So if we will replace this proportionality sign with a proportionality constant, and if we do this, then we will get Vmd1 by Vmd2 will be equal to P2 by P1 to the power 1 by 3. Similarly, if we replace this proportionality sign with proportionality constant, and we will take 2 Vmd1 and Vmd2, then Vmd1 by Vmd2 will be equal to d1 by d2 to the power 2 by 3. Similarly, Vmd1 by Vmd2 to the power sigma 1 by sigma 2 to the power half in case of surface tension. So this is the relation of your volume mean diameter with pressure, orifice diameter and surface tension of the fluid. So is this clear? Is this clear to all of you? Okay, I think it is clear. So let me move to the next part. So next is method to determine droplet size distribution. Now what are the method to see the droplet size distribution? We have talked about droplet size, but how we can measure the droplet size, that is a question. So there are different means to measure the droplet size. The most common mean is glass slide coated with silicon and magnesium oxide. If we spray our liquid in a glass slide coated with silicon and magnesium, what will happen is due to the silicon and magnesium oxide, the liquid droplet will stick to the surface of this glass slide. So by that we can measure the diameter of the spray droplet. Then glossy paper such as chromic coat or luster coat. Here is a diagram of chromic coat and luster coat. What we will do to measure the droplet diameter, what we will do, we will stick this glossy paper on the surface of the plant, and then we will spray our liquid. In doing so, what will happen is this spray droplet will be forming tiny spots on this glossy paper, and then after the operation we will take the glossy paper, we will take this glossy paper in the lab, and then we will measure the spray droplet diameter. Third is immersion method, and fourth is electronic analyzer. So these are basically hi-fi method. We generally use glossy paper. Immersion method means there is a immersion surface, same phenomena. In that immersion surface only the liquid droplets stick. And third is electronic analyzer. Electronic analyzer means this is basically a lab method. So there is an electronic analyzer instrument. At that instrument when we spray our chemical, the electronic analyzer will automatically it is already calibrated, so it will automatically give you the diameter of the spray droplet. So basically in practice, commonly we use this glossy paper method. We stick those paper on the plant surface, and then we spray our liquid, and once the liquid gets sprayed on this glossy paper, it will form tiny spots, and that paper we take it, we bring it to the lab, and we measure the spray droplet diameter. Now method to determine uniformity of deposition. So we use a instrument called patternator. What is a patternator? This is the diagram of patternator. Patternator is a test setup used to determine distribution of fluid from spray nozzle for selection of a suitable nozzle to facilitate uniform distribution of the spray liquid. So what happens is, let's say this is the sprayer. So the spray liquid will be deposited like a cone. Okay, so it might happen is the flow rate at different position of this spray varies. Means the let's say the flow collected at this position might get differ to the flow collected at this position. The similarly flow collected at this position, and this position. So to measure this, we have this instrument. So what we will do, we will attach a nozzle on the top of the patternator, and then we will spray the liquid. So by this what will happen is the spray droplet will be the spray droplet or the spray liquid will be collected at each channels. Okay, this patternator is nothing but channels. Here there are different channels, there are different narrow channels. So what will happen is, at the base of the channel there are test tubes to collect the flow. So for each channel we can measure what is the flow that is coming from the spray nozzle. So there are different components of this patternator. So 8 is the collection tray. Collection tray is nothing but a collection of test tube to measure the spray liquid coming from different channels of the patternator. And 2 and 3 are the nozzle. This 2 3 are the nozzle. One is the drift cover. So what happens is, we do not require our spray to be affected by wind or something. That is why we are covering this patternator by this drift cover. Okay. Fourth is spray lance. Spray lance is nothing but okay, this is the spray lance. Okay, spray lance is nothing from where the liquid will come to your nozzle. Then fifth is the control valve. Control valve is required to control the flow of liquid from the nozzle. Sixth is patternator channel. So this red mark here, these are your patternator channels. Seventh is the test tubes. This is your test tube, and this test tube will be held by a collection tray. So again I am repeating, patternator. This whole setup is known as patternator. There are different components of patternator. One is drift cover. Drift cover is provided so that wind or other things does not affect the pattern of the spray. Okay, pattern of the spray. Then second and third are your nozzle with pressure gauge. These are your nozzle with pressure gauge. Fourth is your spray lance. So the nozzle will be getting the spray liquid from the spray lance. Fifth is your control valve. Control valve is required to control the flow of liquid to your nozzle. Then patternator channel. This red mark is your patternator channel. And seventh is your test tube. This red mark at the bottom is nothing but your test tubes. So what will happen when we will start the nozzle? Your sprayer will give a definite spray pattern, and by that spray pattern we can calculate what is the spray liquid that is coming on one position of your spray pattern. Like what is the spray that is coming at this position, at this position, at this position, at this position. Is wherever the test tube will be there, we can calculate what is the spray liquid that is coming on the test tube. So that is the function of the patternator. Okay, so is this clear why we use patternator? Is this clear? Any doubt in this patternator part? Okay, no problem. Okay, so let me move to the next part. That is spray calibration. Okay, spray calibration refers to adjusting the chemical application rate. Means spray calibration means we have to adjust the chemical application rate. Chemical application rate unit I have already told, that is liter per hectare. Okay, now the application rate will be dependent on your forward speed of the sprayer, effective capacity of the sprayer, width of the operation, and nozzle flow rate. Okay, so this is your nozzle and this is the width of the operation. Here you can see this, basically this red portion is known as boom. Okay, and this boom has 4 nozzle on the left side and 4 nozzle on the right side, and this nozzle will be spraying the liquid in a definite pattern. Okay, so this total is known as width of operation. Now nozzle selection tip, how we will select the nozzle. So nozzle selection tip, we have to decide the flow rate of the nozzle. And how we can decide the flow rate of the nozzle? Flow rate of the nozzle will be equal to your application rate into dn into s. What is dn? Dn is the nozzle spacing. What is s? S is the sprayer speed. So this is again that field capacity thing. I have told you application rate is in hectare per hour. Okay, application rate is in hectare per hour. Now we require this flow rate in liter per minute. So how we can get liter per minute? We can get liter per minute if we know the if we if we know the depth and if we know the nozzle spacing and sprayer speed, we can reach to this nozzle flow rate. How? If we multiply the field capacity to it. What is field capacity? Field capacity is S into W divided by 10, and the unit is hectare per hour, and the unit is hectare per hour. Okay, this unit is liter per hour. Okay, here I have mistaken. The unit here is liter per hour. Unit here is liter per hour. Application rate, the unit is liter per hour. Liter per hectare. Sorry, liter per hectare. The application rate unit is liter per hectare. Now field capacity unit is hectare per hour. So hectare will cancel out. So application rate, your Q will be equal to application rate into S into W, speed of the operation. W is here nothing but nozzle spacing, divided by 10. Okay, and by that we can get our Q in liter per hour, but we want this Q in liter per minute. So hour can be converted to minute if we multiply by 60. Okay, 1 hour equals to 60 minutes. So if we will multiply by 60, this hour will be converted to minute. So that is why here the formula application rate into S is the speed of the operation, dn is the distance between the nozzle, divided by 10 into 60, that is 600. So by that we can get nozzle flow rate. Now there are two type of pressure. One is rated pressure and desired pressure. This Q will be directly proportional to P square. Okay, this Q of the nozzle will be directly proportional to P square. So what will happen is P is directly proportional to Q square. This P is directly proportional to Q square. So we have two kind of pressure. One is rated pressure and second is desired pressure. So PR and P. So PR by P will be equal to Q QR by Qn whole square. This is QR, this is R, rated R, and this is desired, that is N. This is N, this is R. So PR by Pn will be equal to QR by Qn square. So this is the formula for nozzle tip selection. So again I am repeating, if we know the application rate in liter per hectare, we can reach to the flow rate of the nozzle. How we can reach to the flow rate of the nozzle? We have to multiply this application rate with field capacity. What is field capacity? Field capacity is speed of the operation into width of the operation divided by 10. So your Q in liter per hour will be AR into S into W divided by 10. But we require this nozzle flow rate in liter per minute. That is why we have to multiply hour. How we will convert hour in minute? We have to multiply by 60. So that is why this Q will be equal to AR into S into W, or here you can see AR into S into dn divided by 600. Now there are two type of pressure, rated pressure and desired pressure Pn. Okay, rated pressure PR and desired pressure Pn. So this P is directly proportional to Q square. Okay, so we can find out this rated pressure by PR by Pn equal to QR by Qn whole square. So by this formula we can find out the rated pressure of the nozzle tip. Okay, now let me erase this. Now we have a calibration method. Calibration method, nothing, same formula. You can see same formula. Now in calibration, whenever we are talking about calibration, we have to find AR, not QN. We have to find AR or application rate. So AR can be find out by the same formula, QN into 600 divided by DN into S. Same thing they have done here. Same thing they have done here. That is 600 into Q divided by dn into s. This v, if we say this v as AR or application rate, same thing, right? Quantity of spray by area treated, that is application rate. So application rate v or AR equal to 600 into Q divided by s into w. S into w, this s is the speed of operation, w is the width of the coverage, or here you can say the nozzle spacing. So by that we can find out the application rate of the sprayer. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so is this clear? How we get the nozzle flow rate or application rate? Is it clear? Is this slide clear? Okay, nice. So let me move to the next slide, that is testing. This is the last slide, then we will talk about question and answer. So testing, there are generally two tests. One is short run test and another one is long run test. Okay, short run test, we are doing short run test for spraying performance, that is discharge rate. What is the discharge rate from the nozzle? What is the spray distribution? Means that patternated test. Okay, this is spray distribution is nothing but patternated test. So for this we do the short run test. Okay, then to calculate the pump efficiency, to know the agitation performance, then to do the pressure adjustment, that is pressure fluctuation or pressure drop, we do our short term test. Now there is another test known as long run test. Long run test, what is long run test? For long run test, we have to operate this sprayer for continuous 50-hour operation. For minimum 50-hour operation, if we are doing our testing, that test is known as long run test. Discharge from the nozzle should be collected for a period of 15 minutes after 15 minutes of running for first time. Okay, so first time we have to collect the discharge only after 15 minutes of running the nozzle. So this is the another feature of this long run test. Third, variation in discharge from the first collection to the last would give the percentage of wear of the nozzle. So we are generally doing this long run test to measure the wear of the nozzle. Okay, so generally there are, again I am repeating, there are two type of test. One is short run test and second is long run test. Short run test for measuring the discharge, spray distribution, pressure fluctuation and all, we do the short run test. Long run test, for doing the long run test, we have to do the test for a continuous of 50 hours. Okay, minimum of 50 hours. So this is the criteria of long run test, and we do this long run test to measure the wear of the nozzle. Okay, so these are the two type of test. So nothing to explain more about this slide. Let's move on to the question and answer. So today question and answer will be based on plant protection equipment, plant protection selection and design. Third is manually operated knapsack boom sprayer. Fourth is performance evaluation of the sprayer, and fifth is testing of spraying equipment. Okay, these are the 5 topics. We will discuss the question that are similar to assignment but not exactly your assignment, so that whenever you will do the assignment you will not feel alienated. Okay, so let's move to the first question. Which of the following is not a positive displacement pump? So A is centrifugal pump, B is plunger pump, C is diaphragm pump, and D is rotary pump. So any guesses for this? Any guesses for this question?
So option A, centrifugal pump.
Okay, option A, centrifugal pump. Okay, very right. Option A, centrifugal pump. The other 3 are examples of your positive displacement pump. But here in the question, it has been asked which of the following is not a positive displacement pump. So option A or centrifugal pump is your right answer. So these are piston pump, rotary pump and diaphragm pump. Piston pump or plunger pump, diaphragm pump and rotary pump are example of your positive displacement pump. But centrifugal pump is not a positive displacement pump. So option A is your right answer. So let's move to the next question. A lever operated knapsack sprayer is a type of: A is gaseous energy sprayer, B is hydraulic energy sprayer, C is centrifugal energy sprayer, and
So
D is
option B, hydraulics.
hydraulic energy sprayer. So very right. Your hydraulic energy sprayer example is lever operated knapsack sprayer, rocker sprayer, foot sprayer, hand compression sprayer, and tractor operated boom sprayer. So these are your some of the example of hydraulic energy sprayer. So whenever I was discussing about hydraulic energy sprayer, I have told you this is the common type of means to break the liquid into smaller droplet, that is by applying hydraulic energy. And knapsack sprayer is the most common type of sprayer, so it basically use hydraulic energy for the means to break the liquid into smaller droplets. So option B will be your correct answer. Okay, so let's move to the next question. The operating pressure of a tractor operated sprayer ranges from: A is 17 to 21 kg per centimeter square, B is 21 to 55 kg per centimeter square, C is 60 to 85 kg per centimeter square, and D is 90 to 120 kg per centimeter square. So any guesses for this?
Option D.
Option D. Okay. So let's see. So for tractor operated sprayer, the operating pressure is between 21 to 55 kg per centimeter square, and discharge rate 150 to 190 liter per minute. Okay, nothing to explain this. This is a proper memory based question. You have to keep it in your memory that for a tractor operated sprayer, operating pressure is between 21 to 55 kg per centimeter square, and discharge rate 150 to 190 liter per minute. So option B is your right answer. Okay, so option B is your right answer. Now the question 4, the application rate of a ultra low volume sprayer varies in the range of: A is less than 5 liter per hectare, B is between 5 and 400, C is 400 and 1000, and D is,
Option A.
yeah, option A. Yeah, very right. I have told you the threshold is 5 and 400. So if it is more than 400, it is known as high volume sprayer. If it is between 5 and 400, it is your low volume sprayer. And if the application rate is less than 5 liter per hectare, we call it ultra low volume sprayer. Okay, so answer A is your right answer. So answer A is your right answer. So is this clear? Okay, should be clear. Now let's move to the next question. That is, spray pattern having volume median diameter in between 50 to 100 micrometer is known as: A is aerosol spray, B is mist spray, C is fine spray, and D is coarse spray. So any guesses for this? Yeah,
So,
Amol is telling A.
oh, fine. So,
Okay, C. Yeah, you are telling C. So let's see. So yeah, these are the nozzle type, and this is the type of droplets. So type of droplets, if the droplet size is between 500 to 100 micrometer, we call this droplet as mist. If it is below 50, then we call it aerosol. If it is between 100 and 150, we call it fine spray. If it is between 200 to 400 micrometer, we call it medium spray, and if it is more than 400 micrometer, we call it coarse spray. So here in the question it has been asked if the volume median diameter is between 50 to 100 micrometer. So the answer will be mist spray. So if it is less than 50, it will be called aerosol spray. If fine spray, if it is between 100 to 150 micrometer. Coarse spray if it is more than 400 micrometer. So your answer is B. The correct answer is B. Mist spray has a VMD 50 to 100 micrometer. So B is your correct answer. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Spray angle of a hollow cone nozzle lies in the range of A is 25 to 45 degree, B is 45 to 60 degree, C is 60 to 95 degree, and D is 100 to 150 degree. So any guesses?
Course. So option C, 60 to 95.
Yeah, Amol is telling C, you are also telling C. So yeah. So for a hollow cone nozzle, the spray angle is between 60 to 95 degree. Other feature is operating pressure is between 275 to 550 kilopascal. So these are the two important feature of a hollow cone nozzle. So option C is your correct answer. So this is again a kind of memory based question. You have to keep in mind spray angle for different type of nozzle. Here in this question it has been asked for hollow cone nozzle, and here the spray angle is between 60 to 95 degree. So option C, 60 to 95 degree is the correct answer. Okay. So let me move to the next question. Which type of spray nozzle is generally used for spot application of the herbicides? Option A is hollow cone nozzle, option B is solid cone nozzle, option C is flat fan nozzle, option D is rotary nozzle. So any guesses for this? Okay, so let me see. So solid cone nozzle is used for herbicide spot spraying for herbicide application. That means if we want to spray the liquid at a particular spot, in that application we use this solid cone nozzle. So option B is your correct answer. Okay, spot if we want spot application of herbicides at a particular location, we use solid cone nozzle. So option B is your correct answer. Okay. So let me move to the next question. This is a numerical type of question. So here a boom sprayer equipped with a hollow cone nozzle. So type of nozzle given here is hollow cone nozzle. Is operated at a speed, is operated at a speed 5.5 kilometer per hour. So S is given. Okay. Now the nozzle spacing is given, that is 45 centimeter. So DN is given. This is DN. Okay, DN is also given. Now application rate is also given. AR is also given. Now it is asked this flow rate of a hollow cone nozzle. So we are asked to find Qn, and I have told you Qn is equal to application rate in liter per hectare into S into W divided by 60 into 10. Okay, this 10 is for this field capacity, S into W by 10, and this 60 is because we want this Qn in liter per minute. Okay, here if we will not divide by 60, then our Qn will come in liter per hour, but we according to our option also we require this Qn in liter per minute. That is why we are dividing this formula by 60. So this is the formula. So all the things are given. Application rate is given, that is 300 liter per hectare. So your Qn will be equal to 300 into S into W. S is 5.5 into W is 45 or 0.45, because during field capacity we take this speed in kilometer per hour and width in meter. So that is why 0.45 divided by 600. So when you will do this, you will get your answer in liter per minute. So your answer will come 1.24 liter per minute. So option D is your correct answer. So again I am repeating, this question will be solved by this formula. Qn in liter per minute will be equal to application rate in liter per hectare into speed of the operation into W or dn or nozzle spacing divided by 600. So application rate is given 300 liter per hectare. Speed of the operation is given 5.5 kilometer per hectare. Width or nozzle spacing is given 45 centimeter. We have to convert this in meter, that is by 0.45 divided by 600. So when you will do this calculation, you will get your Qn in liter per minute as 1.24. So option D is your correct answer. So is this clear? Any doubt in this question? Okay. Okay, so it is clear. So let me move to the next question. That is, which of the following condition is true for volume median diameter and mass median diameter of a given spray? A is volume median diameter is equal to mass median diameter. B is volume median diameter is smaller than mass median diameter. C is volume median diameter is greater than mass median diameter. And D is none of this. Okay, Amol is telling C. Okay, any other guesses? No. So no, Amol, A is the correct answer. That is volume median diameter VMD is equal to mass median diameter, because your spray droplet will have equal density. Okay, so as your spray droplet has equal density, so what is mass? Mass is density is rho equals to m by v. So m equals to rho equals to m by v. Okay, rho equals to m by v. So m equals to rho into v. M equals to rho into v. Okay, so as your density will remain constant for a spray droplet, so that is why your mass median diameter is equal to volume medium diameter. Okay, so that is why mass medium diameter is equal to volume medium diameter. A is the right answer. There is another thing that is known as number median diameter. In case of number median diameter, as the number median diameter falls before mass medium diameter or volume medium diameter, that is why NMD is lesser than VMD. So if NMD is asked, then volume median diameter is greater than number median diameter, but here it is asked volume median diameter and mass median diameter. So volume median diameter is equal to mass median diameter. So option A is your right answer. Is this clear? Okay, clear. Now let me move to the let me move to the next question. This is a numerical type of question. So a sprayer equipped with a piston pump is used to spray fungicides in a mango orchard if the pump has a flow rate. So here it is required power. Power, we have to calculate power. Flow rate is given, Q is given 30 liter per minute, and pressure is given 600 kilopascal, and pump efficiency is also given, that is 90%. Now what is the power required to operate the pump? So I have already told you the formula of power. Power will be equal to pressure into Q divided by eta m, and the unit conversion, for unit conversion we have to multiply 60,000. Okay, if we divide this P by Q to 60,000, we will get our power in kilowatt. Okay, this 60,000 is basically for unit conversion. So basically the formula is P equals to P into Q and divided by eta m. Eta m is the mechanical efficiency of the pump. So this is the formula. Now P is given, the pressure, pressure is given 600 kilopascal. So P we can put 600 kilopascal. Okay. Now Q is given, Q is 30 liter per minute. Okay, 30 liter per minute. So Q is also given. Now 60,000, because liter per minute we have to convert in liter per second. So that is why 60,000, 60 is divided. Okay, and 1000 for other thing. 1000 for 1000 for we require our power in kilowatt, that is why we are multiplying 1000, so 60 into 1000 into eta m. Okay, so by that we can calculate our power. The power will come 0.33 kilowatt. So answer option B is your correct answer. Okay, so option B is your correct answer. So is this clear to all of you? Is this question clear? Option A. Oh, sorry. Yeah, not HP. Not HP in kilowatt. 0.33 kilowatt. Not HP. Okay. So option A is your correct answer. So option A is your correct answer, not option B. B is in HP. 0.33 kilowatt is your correct answer. It is 0.34. Okay, so option A is your correct answer, not option B. It is given in HP. Option B is also given in HP. Option D is also given in HP. So in numerical question, you have to also be careful regarding unit. Okay. So this formula gives your power in kilowatt. That is why 0.33 kilowatt. So is this question clear to all of you? Okay. So any doubt in today's lecture? Any portion you have any doubt? We still have 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, nice. So by this I am terminating the session for today. I hope you enjoy this session, and this video lecture will be available on the YouTube also. On the link this links will be available to you. I think it is available to you in your NPTEL SWAYAM portal. So even if you are not able to attend the class, you can get this video lecture from those links. Okay, but I will encourage you to participate in this class, because what happens is until you participate in this class, you could not discuss your problem to me beforehand. Okay, so that is why I request you to participate in these sessions. So thank you. We will meet on the next Tuesday 6 to 8 p.m. Okay.